Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 218 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to use signal transmission to try to efficiently get rid of some of these puffer byproducts. Enjoy. The sulfur, which can honestly just be sent on its way. The problem, though, is similar to, I think, how we did the sodium hydroxide, where we had an on and an off condition to run them. So if we're doing the same thing with sulfur, we'll probably want to have some similar logic. But for now, we can connect it, and we're getting huge amounts of extra sulfur. So how did this logic work exactly? Yeah, I think it's using the signal. So we have a very long signal wire coming up here. So all of the request depots have to have this special logic attached. I kind of don't want to mess with something like that again. But we're going to want this sulfur to be here, so I think we have to. And this is just because buffer chests don't seem to really work with transport drones. I think how it is if we have a request, it shuts down the request depot at the storage location so it doesn't create a loop. Then we can use our signal transmitter here. So I think we can get this to work by saying if we have more than whatever number, let's say 1,000 in here, to say, hey, an outpost has sulfur. So it'll send a single sulfur signal. So let's make a receiver. And we can put this wherever. Maybe you see that we connect a wire and now it's sent the signal to us. So that is what signal transmitter does. Just the buildings are huge. And they do require quite a bit of power. Like the transmitter is doing 10 megawatts. And the receiver too. So they individually use quite a bit of power. So we come down here to where our sulfur is being stored. Let's get this giant dish in here somewhere. And then the combinator we needed. So we're getting our input signal of 1 sulfur, which is telling us that an outpost has sulfur. So we don't want these two machines to run. That's essentially the problem we run into, is that if we have a supply depot and a request depot right next to each other, they'll just constantly send trucks back and forth, and that's not what we want. So we only want one or the other to run. So we can do something like if green signal is equal to 0 and green signal is equal to 1. So either one or the other will run. It's kind of hard to see, but basically if we have an outpost that has sulfur, we don't want to supply sulfur. So since we have this set up to where sulfur is equal to 1, we'll just output a green square, and that just avoids any potential issues with the circuit network. So we've got a green square. We do not want the supply depot to run. So the green square has to be equal to 0 for this to run, and 1 for the request depot to run. But we can kind of check this here. So we want sulfur. Let's just put 10 drones in there. And since an outpost is sending that we have sulfur, it has turned on the request depot and turned off the supply depot. So we should be getting some fuel in here. And it looks like that's the nearest fuel truck. It seems like we could do it a lot closer than that. But it's pretty busy in here. But I'm sure there's somewhere we can put this. And this sulfur will go down and get sorted properly. Seems like we're going to need to do a little zigzag because a lot's going in here. But that should get the sulfur where it needs to go. There's the fuel truck. And off go the sulfur trucks. So So we'll have to come back and check this later when they get back here. But ideally, what we would see is that this request depot would turn off and this supply depot would turn on, and then we wouldn't see the trucks going back and forth. So that's the ideal operation of that setup. So hopefully it works. Seems like pretty similar to what we did before. It's been a while since I've done it, so I've kind of forgotten how I had it set up. But let's grab these prospectors and charge up our character real quick. Because I've been meaning to scan our old ore patches, just so we can mine them and get rid of them. So we can just put a scanner here wherever, as long as it covers everything. Looks like that just barely does. And we'll just have all these in here for now. Scanning all of those. We are completely out of stone products, which is an interesting problem to have. Is anything actually clogged up? No, I don't think so. Just think things have been pretty dormant. Looks like the sulfur trucks are on their way back. And they cleared out all that extra. Well, some of it anyway. There's still 11K in there. But looks like all the puffer stuff is shut down. Still trying to go through that meat, though. Full on carbon dioxide again. Might want to do something about that. Well, we can kind of see. Is there anything we can turn carbon dioxide into to make it easier to ship? Not particularly. Well, if we had sulfuric wastewater up here, we could turn it into algae, which would probably be a little denser to send. What kind of numbers are we dealing with? Because it's always about the numbers. Yeah, carbon dioxide is 35 a second. The hydrogen fluoride is probably small enough to where we can just send that down here. And it looks like we're already requesting it anyway. So since we're making a larger request of the stuff, let's put some more drones in there, but I guess we're getting it from somewhere else in the base, and that's fine. It would just pump it into making acid. But carbon dioxide is a harder thing. Question is, do we want to save it at all? Like, I want to save it, but where's the nearest point it even gets used? It's like way down here. We could put it on a train, I suppose. There is a train kind of in the area, but I don't know if we want to cross this gap because the bus is about to be there. And how much carbon dioxide are we actually talking about? So 35 a second. Let's find out how much coal that would end up being. So make carbon dioxide from coal. And we're creating 35.11. That's 0.71 coal a second. It's both a lot and not a lot. Well, here they come delivering the first load. Kind of surprised it's not sending more. It could just be a lack of fuel. But it's being sent in here, and it's a nice big warehouse, which is great. So hopefully it won't get filled up. I kind of want to save that carbon dioxide, because if I recall, our base is basically never overloaded on carbon dioxide. It's always producing it down here. I think I can kind of tell because it's at 41%, and that's probably, yeah, set by these machines here. That makes sense. It's running it from trees, which is better than doing from coal. That's interesting. We have some fuel furnaces still here. We might as well replace them. So we need to produce 18 charcoal a second. I don't know if these furnaces are on the network. You would think they would be by now. But if we had a bunch of speed modules in there, what would we get? We'd get 6, and we needed 18, so it looks like we'd basically only need 3 of those. And stack out. So, in this situation, it seems like we're already making carbon in a pretty efficient way. But I could have sworn I've seen this run on occasion. And I guess we can kind of see how much it runs by looking at these machines on the end and see how big the numbers are. Because you see these machines in here barely run, like it ran 20 times. But the one up here ran 18,793 times. So how long do these run? Oh yeah. 380,000, 244,000. So you can tell that these very rarely run. But you know me, I hate to waste stuff. Although this number is a little high for drones, I guess that would be one drone every 20 seconds or so. I do also want to try to save it. I get the feeling that having a lot of drones running around is kind of bad for UPS. That's kind of one of the reasons why I don't want to have just an entire base of drones everywhere. So it's kind of a lot of drones, but there's really no good solution, and building a train is going to be kind of annoying as well. Unless we ship it all the way down here. I guess it would be a little more convenient if it used one of those tracks instead, but since nothing else here uses it, it just seems kind of complicated. Alright, well, the shortest possible drone path to get to the pipes that have it in them would be down here. Or at least we can send one down here if it hasn't gone the whole way yet. That way they just have a slightly shorter distance to go, and it does look like it. And we've got this giant mess to deal with. Just to get it on the same alignment as the other pipe. And it's kind of in the way here, but that's okay. We can kind of plop it right here, and it looks like, although that is a supply, we actually want to do a request. I think requests do work properly. Let's fill this up with 10 of them. Just so we have a nice, good throughput. It would be somewhere around here, but we have the signal transmitter in the way. Although I guess it could fit if we just went straight under it. Put it like right here. So we do need these readers and writers attached because it is a liquid depot. Across the gap. And just say carbon dioxide is more than 1,000, you can turn on. Then we need to connect this. Let's just put a pump in there for now, so we can get it all sucked out of there. And we're going to need another one. Hydrogen fluoride. Same concept. And run this down to this tank here. So now that that is filling up, we should be seeing hydrogen fluoride requests. And we are. It's maxed out. And sulfur is maxed out. Filling up even higher. And we should see some carbon dioxide requests. And we do. And we're still working down on those puffers. We had an awful lot of them. Well, we have a couple squares open here. So I guess we can fire this up again. Of course, with all of this, it's going to quickly max out the belt. How are we doing on seeds? Pretty good, actually. It looks like we have enough for these to run at full speed. Well, mostly. I guess it kind of depends on where the seeds are. But I'll grab 5 seeds. Take them out of the system so we can put it back into our seed repository so this blinking warning goes away. And I'll continue to let this max out here. Although it's actually pretty close to a good now. So we can switch this to the mushrooms. Since we basically have full speed on this now. Not quite, but most of the way there. And how are we doing on the meat? It's filled up. Is that because there's no room for polluted fish water? Yeah, we filled up. So that's fine. Whenever we start making crystals, that will balance back to where it's supposed to be. Same with these alien spores, really. We're actually about to be maxed out on spores. I'm hoping that it takes the spores from right here and just drives over there rather than pick up the ones from all the way down here. Otherwise, we need to have some kind of logic on there where if one of those is turned on, the other one's turned off. But I suppose we could do signal transmission for that and make sure that it happens. So we put a transmitter in here and a combinator. Basically, just looking at the signal of the warehouse. Let's set that to 1,000. It just says if we have equal to or greater than 1,000 spores, just send a single spore signal to the transmitter, and then we go back to where they are made right here. And man, that's a big dish. Gotta find somewhere to put it, I guess. Right there. And the combinator. Luckily, this is a lot easier because we don't have to turn on and off opposing depots. Basically, we just want to say if that other depot is sending out a bacteria signal, it means it is available. And we'll just do the green square. And the way this works is it only wants to be on if there is no green square. So in other words, it's either this depot or the other one. And I see it's red there, so it is shut off. So it should be working properly. And it's kind of funny that just with those two dishes, you know, our factory isn't doing very much, but besides our accumulators, it's our third biggest power consumer already, even more than all of the radars. So I don't know, I might want to go in there and take a look at that because, I don't know, 10 megawatts seems like an awful lot for one of those, but maybe I'm just being too picky because of the base's relatively efficient power consumption. Look at all of those carbon dioxide trucks. Find myself flying up here a lot. It's pretty far away. So let's make this another teleporter pad. And oh my goodness, we need accumulators. Lots of them. And actually, it looks like accumulators are one of those things that we're not currently building. So I wonder if we just used a store of ones that we had previously. Probably. Although those are normal accumulators, and I think the ones that we have are the special ones. The high capacities. So we might want to just throw them in here and convert them back into parts. We do need to build more accumulators, but I kind of want to wait if we're going to have access to those lithium batteries. That would make this a lot denser than it is now, because if we built this up, it would basically just take up this entire lower section here. It would swallow up the base if we put any more, and that's, I mean, let no one say I didn't build accumulators. There's a lot of them. And the reason why there's so many of them is because I did not increase their capacity with the longer nights. They are the original capacity as set by Angel Bob's. So basically it means we need at least 4 times as many because the night is 4 times as long, but in reality we need more than that because most of night is the sun going up and down, so we definitely need a lot of accumulators compared to the standard Factorio base. I think that's enough to make our teleporter. Yep. Let's plop the seed in there so that warning will go away. Probably could stand to have a teleporter out here too, but considering how much time it's taking to build one, I think we're just going to have to wait for a little while. But if we put our seed back in there, that warning should go away now. And there it goes. That's just nice to have to make sure that we don't misplace any seeds and then waste all of that effort we spent on making them in the first place. So what do the resources look like over here? This fluoric wastewater, we might just want to hold on to it But because this is only meant for topping this off in the event that it runs out, but I think it'll be self-sufficient now. Nonetheless, I will put a single water treatment plant in here, at least when the crafting queue is ready, just so we can get rid of that, put the fluoride in our inventory and walk it down, because I don't think we need to have logistics for this, because this isn't something that normally runs. It was just there to fire up the process, and it looks like we are maxing out again. Well, close. Because it looks like we have our full load of critters at this point. But it is just kind of filling that all up there, which isn't really accomplishing what we need. I suppose one thing I can do is just put another container nearby. Just as a temporary measure to buy more space in here. And then we'll switch it around the other way later. Getting pretty close to our 1,000 of each type. But our teleporter is ready. So we can just kind of put this in here somewhere. Call this puffers. So now we have a new location to go to. Let's take this hydro plant. Just kind of drop it in here. Get rid of the fluoric wastewater. And I don't care about those two outputs. That'll quickly run through that stuff. And plop it in a chest for us. Okay. Looks like we have 1,000 of each puffer type. So now they should all be shut down. And they are. Now they just need to fill up, so it might cycle a few more times. But it seems like it's not chopping through too many puffers. So it's probably set up in a pretty good way. We are working our way through all of those fruits. Eventually we'll get there. This is balanced out at 1,000. And they're all running, mostly anyway. Kind of depends on where all the seeds are. It's handling the nutrient pulp all right. And we're about maxed out on this alien bacteria, because we're just not using it. Hopefully we can, and it's not just a giant pile up. And the meat's kind of piling up too, but again, we're not really using it for anything, so that is why. Okay. We're looking pretty good here. Now that we've gone through the effort of making all those eggshells, we can figure out what we need to do to make these crystal shards. But that's going to have to wait until the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.